So they want to know, can you use steroids and gain strength for a competition, whether it be wrestling, weightlifting, boxing, any of these competitions, but also not increase your actual mass, where you causes you to lose your weight class. So let's say you're trying to compete in the 160 weight class, for example, and if you're 160.1, they kick you out of the weight class. Now you got to compete in the 170 weight class. I've competed in powerlifting. Rick's competed in, I believe, MMA and wrestling. So he knows about weight class. And a lot of people, they're scared to use steroids because then they get bumped out of the weight class. So I'm going to bring in Rick first, because Rick, you used to do a lot of wrestling and MMA, and you had to make weight, correct? So can you use steroids and still not gain weight? And if so, which steroids would you recommend?
Well, I don't have experience with myself using steroids while trying to make weight. I wrestled much younger before I started juicing. And when I fought, I was drug-free for the fight because there was random testing. So basically, I would say people out there that are trying to maintain their weight and just gain strength, Winstrol comes to mind. It's a good steroid that'll help you gain a good bit of strength without a lot of mass. Trenbolone, if you're in a strict diet, Trenbolone on a strict diet will help you gain a ton of strength, and you won't put on a lot of mass. As a matter of fact, if you're trying to use Trenbolone for bulking, you need to eat enough. If you don't eat enough, Trenbolone's just not going to put on the mass. So if you use it that way with a strict diet and even a cutting diet, and Trenbolone, it'll give you some pretty damn good strength. Turinabol, we discussed in a previous podcast here. Turinabol is also a nice one. I would say those are the three that I would really go with as far as good strength gains without a lot of extra pounds on the scale. Take Winstrol, Tren on a cutting diet, obviously, and Turinabol.
I wouldn't. I like to use. I don't like to use Winstrol because it's the joint issues. So I wonder if you're like in powerlifting, if that would affect, your joints, and you kind of get creaky, you dry out your joints a little too much. So for me, it'd be Anavar or T-Bol. Those would be really good at not causing weight gain. I've actually gained a lot of weight on Tren. Like literally the first 2 weeks on it, I'll put on like 5 or 10 pounds. But some people do tend to lean out on it. It just depends. So you definitely want to experiment with it. But if you can get away with using Tren, then you'll kill it. You'll kill it because Tren is the monster of all steroids. So, but I'm pretty sure you could definitely get away with Anavar or T-Bol, and you would probably just put on maybe like a pound or two on them. But make sure they're legit because Anavar is frequently faked. So, Rick, I'm going to bring you in one more time. What's some advice? Because you had to make weight. I can remember some days I'd weigh myself in the morning ahead of the competition. I'd be like 2 or 3 pounds over. And what I would do is I just want to eat all day. That, and I also, if I was still over like by a half a pound or something, I would just put on a sweater and just run and try to sweat out that half a pound. But what are some advice? Because you hear all kinds of advice. I can remember back in the day, other guys would give me all this advice, and there was all kinds of theories and strategies. So did you come up with something that worked really well for you to make weight?
Yeah, I did. First off, during season, you try not to get too badly out of weight. So just being responsible with your weight on the weeks that you're not competing, that's really important. And yeah, I mean, you can lose body fat, unwanted weight, up to about, I would say about 4 days, 3 days before competition. The last 4 to 3 to 2 days to day of competition, you're really going for water weight. So I used to just make a total shift in the foods I ate. I used to cut and try to lose body fat all the way up until the week of a competition. Then say about the last 4, 3, 2 days, you're just trying to get rid of water. And if you can get in your system some calorie dense foods that'll allow you to train and be mentally there so you don't get injured, because you can get injured moving around not knowing what you're doing on the days coming up to competition. So if I could get some calorie dense foods that don't weigh a lot on the day while I'm still losing water, that's on the days coming up to the event. And then yeah, that's about it, dude. Just don't try to lose body fat in the last couple of days, because you can get injured warming up. You get injured moving around. So you want to make sure, I would say just calorie dense foods, in the last 48 hours, 72 hours coming up to the event, and just very, very low on the water, obviously. If you do have some water, it's got to be something that's going to put electrolytes in you and be right out, like coconut milk. Also, look, anybody that's competing, weight cutting at any level, you have coaches there, and you got guys with a lot of experience there with you. So, I mean, I can give you guys some guidelines, but at the end of the day, you probably are working with some coaches and other competitors that have some real tricks up their sleeve that are real specific to your sport. So just make sure to pick everybody's brain. Ask everybody a lot of questions. Don't be afraid. And these guys know some tricks that I might not even be thinking of right now. So you want to get information from everybody that you possibly can.
All right, guys. So that's really good advice, Rick.